They thought she was nobody, just an old cleaner in wrapper, someone to insult, splash water on, and step over on their way to impress the new boss. But while they wiped their lip gloss and formed office slay queen, she was quietly marking every action, every word, every fake smile, because the true owner of the company was hiding in plain sight, waiting for the right moment to choose a daughter-in-law and expose a snake. When one broke, struggling junior staff refuses a tempting bribe and later stands in handcuffs, accused of a crime she didn't commit. The stage is set for a reveal that will change everyone's future. When the disguise finally drops, whose life will rise and whose own mouth will destroy them. Hey family, welcome to the Bestie Folktale. If you love stories with hidden tests, sweet revenge, and big life lessons, please subscribe to help us grow, and tell us in the comments which country you're watching from. Your support means more than you know. Madame Funk sat at the edge of her big bed, staring at the framed picture of her late husband on the wall. Chief Adewale had been gone for 2 years, yet some days it still felt like yesterday. They started with a small shop together, and now the name Funk & Sons Holdings carried weight in Lagos and beyond. People saw money. She saw memories. "You left everything for me and Bode," she whispered to the picture. "I will not spoil it. I will not allow any useless girl to scatter his life." Her only child, Bode, was the joy of her old age. From primary school days, he had always been serious and focused. Chief Adewale used to joke, "This boy will carry this company on his head one day." When Bode got a scholarship to study abroad, they had both cried and danced. Now, after many years, he was finally coming back to take over the company as managing director. Everyone in the house was excited. The cook was planning his favorite meals. The drivers were polishing the cars. The staff in the office were already talking about Oga Bode and how handsome and educated he would be. But Madame Funk's mind was not at peace. She had seen too many things. Young women with sharp nails and sharper tongues. Girls who only smiled when they heard the word billion. Ladies who could kneel down and greet today, then tomorrow start dragging property once they entered the family. She did not want that for her son. "I cannot stand a girl that only sees my boy as ATM," she said to herself, standing up. "I need a daughter with sense. Someone that can respect people from the bottom up, not only when she sees car key." That was how the idea entered her mind. At first, it sounded strange. A whole Madame Funk, owner of the company, dressing like cleaner? But the more she thought about it, the more it made sense. If she entered the office as herself, every girl would pretend. They would smile and overdo respect. She would never know their true hearts. But a cleaner? Nobody would form for a cleaner. She called the head of HR and spoke in a calm voice. "From next week, I want to bring in one more cleaner. Nobody should ask questions. Nobody should know who she is." The she was herself. Madame Funk had just planned her own disguise. The following Monday, Funk & Sons Holdings did not know their madam was coming to work in a new way. Very early, before most staff arrived, Madame Funk stood in front of her wardrobe, looking at her usual rich lace and fine shoes. She pushed them aside and brought out a simple wrapper, one plain blouse, and an old pair of flat slippers she kept for house chores. When she tied the wrapper around her waist and covered her hair with a small scarf, she hardly recognized herself in the mirror. "So this is how they see cleaners," she murmured. "No jewelry. No makeup. Just one ordinary woman." She picked a small nylon bag, put a rag and rubber gloves inside, and left the house quietly. Only the head of HR and the gate security knew who she really was. Even the drivers thought she went out for a personal errand. By the time most staff reached the office, the new cleaner was already in one corner of the open-plan space, wiping tables and arranging chairs. Some workers greeted her with small nods. Others walked past as if she was part of the furniture. Then Tonia walked in. Tonia was one of the senior ladies in administration. Her wig was always perfect, her nails long, her voice loud. Her close friend Bestie followed behind, pressing her phone and chewing gum. The moment Tonia saw Madame Funk's wrapper and slippers, she hissed. "Who hire this one?" she said loudly. "See as she just tie wrapper anyhow inside office." Bestie laughed. "Maybe she thinks this place is face me I face you," she added. "A beg, make she no come near my table with that her rag." They both looked at the cleaner with open insult. Madame Funk kept her face calm and continued dusting, like she did not hear anything. Inside her heart, she marked their names. On the other side of the room, a young junior staff, Kemi, sat at her small desk, working on some files. She heard everything, but she did not laugh. She only glanced once at the woman in wrapper, then bowed her head again. Later, when Madame Funk moved close to her desk to sweep, Kemi quietly shifted her chair and lifted her bag from the floor. "Sorry, Mama," Kemi said in a low voice. "Let me move so you can finish." No eye roll. No insult. Just simple respect. Madame Funk looked at her for a brief second. In that moment, one name entered her mind and stayed there, Kemi. From that day, Madame Funk started watching Kemi quietly. Kemi came early, greeted people politely, and faced her work. She did not dress loud, she did not drag attention, and she never joined Tonia and Bestie when they were gossiping. It made Madame Funk even more curious. 2 days later, the office was busy. Phones were ringing, printers were making noise, people were moving up and down. Madame Funk held her mop and bucket, cleaning the tiles one side at a time. She was almost done with the main walkway when Tonia and Bestie stepped out from admin. See water everywhere," Tonia complained, even though the floor was only slightly wet. "Old woman, shift jaw. You want to make my shoe spoil." Bestie stood beside her, chewing gum and smiling with one corner of her mouth. "Mama, hurry now," she added. "You're blocking road." Madame Funk pressed the mop into the bucket and tried to move to the side. "Sorry, make I finish here," she said quietly. Tonia rolled her eyes and moved closer. "You day talk back?" she asked. "Because of this small work we give you, you now want to be forming important." Before Madame Funk could answer, Tonia placed her hand on the woman's shoulder and pushed her, as if she was just shifting an object. The push was stronger than she expected. Madame Funk lost balance. Her feet slipped on the wet floor, and she went down sharply. Her side hit the ground first, then her elbow. The mop fell, the bucket rolled, and dirty water splashed. For a moment, there was silence. Then laughter started. "See, Am," Bestie shouted. "I talk, Am, one day she go fall." "She needs walking stick," someone at the back added, giggling. Nobody moved to help. Some staff turned their faces away. Others just watched like they were seeing one show. Madame Funk's body pained her. She tried to sit up slowly, but her hand was shaking. Then she heard one small, worried voice. "Mama, sorry. Please don't move yet." Kemi dropped the file in her hand and rushed forward. She knelt beside the cleaner, placed one hand behind her back and the other under her arm. "Easy, Mama," Kemi said gently. "Did you hit your head? Are you feeling dizzy?" "I'm okay, my daughter," Madame Funk managed, her voice low. Kemi ignored the laughter behind her. She wiped the wet floor quickly with the fallen rag, so the woman would not slip again, then helped her sit against the wall. "Please, Mama, rest small," Kemi said. "If the place is paining you, we should go to clinic." As Kemi spoke, her face was full of real concern. Pain ran through Madame Funk's side, but inside her chest there was a different feeling. In a room full of people, only one person saw her as human. "Kemi," she repeated in her heart. "This girl is not like the others." The next day, Madame Funk still felt small pain in her side, but she did not complain. When she reached the office, she greeted the security man as usual and went straight to the cleaner's small store to keep her things. As she sat on the small wooden stool inside, she thought about Kemi again. Anybody can say sorry with mouth, she told herself. But who will stand with you when others are watching? She decided it was time for another test. During break that afternoon, the staff started moving toward the lunch area with their nylon takeaway and food flasks. Some had jollof rice from a fast food place. Others had snacks, meat pie, and chilled drinks. Madame Funk carried a small cooler she had brought from home. Inside was ifo riro and umla she cooked herself, simple and plain. She sat on one bench in the corner, opened the food, and started eating quietly with her hand. She did not disturb anybody. She did not call anyone. Tonia and Bestie walked in together, laughing about one social media gist. The moment Tonia saw the cleaner and the local food, she stopped and raised her nose. "What is that smell?" she asked loudly. Bestie turned, looked at the plate, and hissed. "Now that cleaner food," she said. "All this village soup and swallow. See where she even sit, like she is at Mama Put." Some people near them chuckled. One person shifted chair slightly away, as if staying close to the old woman was a problem. Tonia folded her arms. "Beg, this is office, not bookka," she said. "They should tell her to eat outside." Madame Funk heard every word. She did not raise her head. She just kept eating slowly, as if nothing touched her. Few minutes later, Kemi entered the lunch area with her own small food flask. She greeted people generally, then her eyes fell on the woman in wrapper. She smiled. "Good afternoon, Mama," Kemi said, walking straight to her. "Good afternoon, my daughter," Madame Funk replied, looking up. Kemi sat beside her without fear or shame and opened her flask. Plain jollof rice with small pieces of fish. Nothing fancy. She glanced at Madame Funk's plate. Mama, this your food looks very nice, she said. Did you cook it yourself? Yes-o, Madame Funk answered. Not my hand work. Kemi leaned closer a bit. Please, can I taste small? She asked. From the other side, Beezy's eyes widened. She nudged Tonia. See Kemi, she whispered. She wants to eat cleaner food. Tonia snorted. Leave her. Some people don't have standard. But Kemi did not even look their way. Madame Funk dished a small portion into the cover of the cooler and passed it to her. Kemi tasted it, closed her eyes briefly, then smiled. Mama, this tastes like home, she said softly. Like food my mother used to cook. Something shifted in Madame Funk's chest. Right there, while others formed class and laughed from far, one girl sat with a poor cleaner, shared food with her, and smiled with pride. In that small corner, Madame Funk's decision grew stronger. Kemi is different, she told herself. And I will not forget it. Days passed, and Madame Funk watched Kemi more closely. It was not just the way she spoke to her. Kemi greeted the security men properly, shared jokes with the receptionist, and never raised her voice at the office assistant. When work piled up, she stayed back without complaining. When others were forming Madame, she quietly carried files and did what they refused to do. Maybe this girl is just behaving well by chance, Madame Funk thought one morning as she arranged cleaning items. I need to see her reaction again when there is pressure and shame. So she planned one more test. That afternoon, during a slow period, she carried a bucket of soapy water and mop stick to the ladies' restroom. The place was empty. She poured more water than usual on one side of the floor, then dipped the mop inside the bucket. She took one deep breath, then let out a sharp cry. Ah, my waist, she shouted, dropping the bucket on purpose so that water splashed across the tiles. She lowered herself to the floor and sat, holding her back as if in serious pain. The water spread fast around her legs. A few moments later, the door opened. Tonia walked in with Beezy and another lady from accounts. They stopped when they saw the cleaner, on the ground and the water everywhere. Mama don fall again, Beezy said, laughing lightly. I talk am, this work no fit her age. Madame Funk groaned and held her side. My daughters, please help me stand, she said. My waist is paining me. The floor is slippery. Tonia leaned against the sink, folded her arms, and shook her head. We are not cleaners, she replied. If we fall now, who will do our office work? A Beggar. The other lady chuckled. Mama, USF be careful, she added. Next time, don't pour water like this now. Nobody moved closer. Madame Funk let her hand tremble a bit more. Please, she whispered. Just help me stand up. Beezy checked her nails and looked away. Mama, you'll be fine, she said. You people are used to this work. At that moment, the door opened again. Kemi stepped in, holding her small handbag. She froze when she saw the scene. The old cleaner on the wet floor, bucket turned over, water everywhere, and Tonia and the others just watching. Mama! Kemi dropped her bag on the counter and rushed forward. What happened? My waist, Madame Funk said, still acting weak. I slipped. Kemi knelt beside her, not minding that her own trousers were touching the wet tiles. She took out her handkerchief and wiped the woman's sweaty face. Mama, don't try to stand yet, she said. Let me clean small. She picked the fallen rag and began to push the water back towards the drain with quick, firm movements. Her hands worked fast until the worst part was gone. Then she helped lift Madame Funk slowly to her feet and guided her to sit on the small plastic chair near the wall. Tonia, please help me bring tissue, Kemi called without anger. Tonia hissed softly. I'm not a nurse, she muttered and walked out with Beezy. Kemi shook her head, turned back to the floor, and cleaned every corner herself until it was safe for anyone to walk. When she finished, she returned to Madame Funk and held her hand. Mama, are you feeling better now? She asked quietly. Yes, my daughter, Madame Funk replied, looking straight into her eyes. In that moment, she was no longer confused. Kemi's kindness was not by accident. It was who she was, even when others stood there and mocked. The day after the restroom incident, Kemi still checked on the cleaner from time to time. Mama, how is your waist now? She asked once in the corridor. It's better, my daughter, Madame Funk replied with a small smile. Thank you for yesterday. You really helped me. Kemi waved it off. Ah, Mama, it's nothing. If it was my mother, I would want someone to help her too. Those words stayed in Madame Funk's mind till closing time. As people started packing their bags to go home, she carried her mop and bucket past Kemi's desk, then stopped. "My daughter," she said softly. "Where do you stay?" Kemi looked up, a bit surprised. "Mama, I stay not too far. One small place behind the market." Madam Funk nodded. "Okay. I cooked small food today. I don't like eating alone. Will you come to my house this evening? Just to join me and eat. Nothing serious." Kemi blinked. "Your house?" "Yes now," Madam Funk said. "If you are not busy." For a moment, Kemi hesitated. Then she smiled. "Okay, Mama. I will come." Later that evening, Kemi found the address Madam Funk had given her. On the way, she prepared her mind for anything. Maybe it's one old, broken building, she thought. Maybe she is even managing with someone. When she got there, she paused. It was not a mansion, but the compound gate was straight, the small front area was swept, and the door looked well kept. No loud noise. No scatter. Kemi knocked. "Mama, it's me." "Kemi." The door opened. Madam Funk stood there, wrapper tied, face bright. "My daughter, you came," she said, stepping aside. "Come in." Inside, the sitting room was simple. Few chairs. One center table. One small TV. Everything clean and arranged. No show-off, but nothing careless. Kemi smiled. "Mama, your house is very neat." "Thank you," Madam Funk said. "Sit down. Let me bring food." She went to the small dining area and returned with a tray, rice, stew, plantain, and cold water. She dished for Kemi first before serving herself. As they ate, they talked. Kemi spoke about her mother in the village, her younger brother still in school, how she sends small money home. She joked about Lego's stress, about entering bus and still smiling. She never once asked, "Mama, how much is your salary?" She never asked if Madam had land, car, or any big thing. She only said, "Mama, I just want to make something of my life and still keep my head." Madam Funk listened, heart soft. This was not a girl chasing position. This was a girl fighting to stand well and still respect people. As Kemi washed her hands and prepared to go, Madam Funk watched her carefully. If my son must marry from this office, she decided silently, this is the kind of girl I want beside him. A week after that quiet dinner, the day Madam Funk had been waiting for finally came. Bode was back. News moved round the office like breeze. "Oga Bode don show. Madam's son is around People adjusted clothes, added extra powder, sprayed more perfume. Tonia even changed her wig before 10 a.m. Madam Funk came in that morning still dressed as cleaner. Only HR and security knew who she really was. She told the board she would join later as Madam, but first she wanted to watch. Around mid-morning, the lift opened and Bode stepped into the main office floor with the HR manager beside him. He greeted some staff, shook hands, and looked around, taking in the place he would now control. As he and HR moved toward admin, he saw an older woman in wrapper, bent slightly, mopping near the walkway. He slowed. "They allow cleaning when people are walking here?" he asked quietly. Before HR could answer, Tonia rushed forward with a wide smile. "Good morning, sir," she said, almost blocking his view. "Welcome, sir. Don't mind this old woman. We have told her many times to shift when important people are passing." She turned to Madam Funk and snapped, "Mama, a beg move jor. You want to stay in Oga's shoe?" Bode stopped. His face changed. "Excuse me," he said, looking straight at Tonia. "Is that how you speak to staff here?" Tonia blinked, smile shaking. "Sir, she is just a cleaner." "And so?" Bode cut in. "Cleaner is not human being? If you cannot talk to people with respect, you should not be in charge of anyone." The whole place went quiet. Kemi, who had been at her desk close by, slowly stood up. Her heart was beating, but she knew she could not keep quiet. "Sir," she said carefully, "Mama has been working here quietly since. She doesn't disturb anybody. Some of us really respect her. She deserves it." Bode turned to look at the speaker. Kemi's hair was simple, her clothes neat but not loud. No fake accent. No overacting. Just plain truth. He nodded. "Thank you," he said to her. Then he faced Madam Funk. "Mama, sorry for the way you were spoken to. It won't happen again." Later that day, Kemi received a message from reception. "Oga Bode says you should come to his office." Her heart jumped. She knocked and entered. "Sit down, please," Bode said. "I just wanted to thank you. Not many people speak up when someone is being looked down on." Kemi shifted on the chair. "Sir, if it was my mother, I would want someone to speak for her too." Bode watched her. "You call her Mama a lot," he said. "You know her well?" Kemi smiled. Yes, sir. She is a good person. She may not have much, but she has sense and respect. I've eaten in her house. She treats people well. As she talked about the cleaner with that calm, sincere tone, Bode felt something settle in his mind. This girl was not chasing anybody. She was just standing for what was right. From that day in Bode's office, Tonia's eyes changed. Any time Kemi passed, she felt it. The fake smile, the quick gossip hush, the way whispers followed her. Beezy would lean close to Tonia's ear, and they would both glance in Kemi's direction. One afternoon, as Kemi packed her bag to close from work, her phone buzzed. Unknown number. I need to see you. It's about your job in Ogabode. Come to Royal Crest Hotel tomorrow by 7 p.m. Come alone. Kemi frowned. She almost ignored it, but something in her spirit told her to at least hear what the person had to say. The next evening, she wore a simple dress and took a cab to Royal Crest Hotel. Her mind was doing calculation. Maybe it's HR. Maybe something is wrong. Maybe I'm in trouble. When she entered the lobby, she looked around quietly. In one corner of the lounge, a woman in dark glasses sat with a drink, reading something in her hand. Kemi did not know it was Madame Funk. Her eyes moved to another side. Tonia was there, already seated at a small table, one handbag by her side, phone in her hand. She looked up, smiled without warmth. Kemi, sit, she said. Kemi pulled out the chair and sat carefully. Good evening, she greeted. Tonia crossed her legs. Let me go straight to the point, she said. You know you are playing with fire. Kemi blinked. I don't understand. Tonia leaned forward. Stay away from Bode. Stop forming innocent. The more he notices you, the more you will collect what you can't handle. Kemi's chest tightened. I don't have anything with him, Ma. I just work here. Tonia gave a small laugh. Story. See, I like you. That's why I called you here privately. She opened her bag, brought out a brown envelope, and dropped it on the table. It landed with a soft, heavy sound. Kemi stared at it. And there is enough money to clear your rent, help your family, and still remain, Tonia said. Take it. By next week, you will resign quietly. No drama. Forget this company. Forget Bode. Kemi swallowed. Her mind ran to her mother's drugs, her brother's school fees, the landlord's warning. Her hand moved slowly to the envelope, touched it, then stopped. She lifted her eyes and looked straight at Tonia. No, she said softly. Tonia's face changed. Think well, Kemi. I have thought, Kemi replied. She pushed the envelope back gently. I won't sell myself because I'm afraid of salary. I did not come here to chase man. I came to work. On the other side of the lounge, behind the dark glasses, Madame Funk watched every move, every word. When she saw Kemi push the money away, her heart settled. This girl is real, she thought. Even when temptation is plenty, she still stands. Tonia could not sleep that night. Each time she closed her eyes, she saw Kemi's hand pushing the envelope back. In her mind, it felt like a slap. Who does she think she is? Tonia muttered, pacing her room. Ordinary junior staff. By the next week, her anger had turned into something darker. In the office, she moved with fake calm, but her mind was working. She had friends in accounts, people who trusted her. She started asking small questions, acting concerned about leakages and security. Then she used one of them to get access to documents she did not need. Quietly, she forged some approvals and arranged fake transfers into Kemi's salary account, making it look like company money had been moved without permission. On paper, everything pointed to one person. Kemi. A few days later, finance raised alarm. Money was missing. The trail ended in Kemi's account. Tonia was the first to act surprised. Ah, me, I suspected that girl, she whispered to anyone who would listen. All this her innocent face, I know trust am. That evening, Kemi was at home, trying to rest her head after work, when there was a hard knock on her door. Who is there? She asked. Police. Open the door. Her heart dropped. She opened slowly. 2 officers stood there, serious. Are you Kemi Adeoye? One asked. Yes, sir, she replied, her voice shaking. You are under arrest for theft and fraud, he said. Before she could understand, cold handcuffs were on her wrists. Neighbors came out, whispering, staring. Kemi? That quiet girl. She must have done something. I didn't steal anything, Kemi cried as they led her away. I swear I didn't steal. At the station, they showed her the account printout. Large amounts had entered her account. She stared at the paper like it was a dream. This is not my money, she kept saying. I don't know anything about this. Later that day, a familiar figure walked into the station. Madame Funk. Still in her wrapper, still acting like ordinary mama, but speaking to the right people, signing what needed to be signed. Before long, Kemi was released on bail. Outside, Kemi broke down, tears pouring. Madame Funk held her like a real mother. "My daughter, don't give up," she said quietly. "God sees everything. This story has not ended." Meanwhile, Bode was in his office, scrolling through his phone, when one headline caught his eye. "Staff of Funk and Sons arrested for fraud." He opened it. Kemi's picture stared back at him. Without thinking twice, he grabbed his keys and drove to the address on her file. When she opened the door, her eyes were red and swollen. "Kemi," he said softly, "tell me the truth. Did you steal that money?" She swallowed, voice shaking but clear. "No, sir. I did not. Somebody is framing me." Bode looked into her face for a long moment, torn between the report and what he felt. "I will investigate," he said at last. "If you are telling the truth, I won't leave this matter." Bode kept hearing Kemi's voice in his head as he drove back to the office. "Somebody is framing me." The next morning, he called the head of accounts and IT to his office. "I want full details of every transfer that passed through Kemi's account," he said. "And I want CCTV clips from that whole week." They left quickly. By afternoon, IT came back looking uneasy. "Sir, there is a problem," he said. "All the CCTV files for that week are missing. Only that week. Every other thing is intact." Bode's chest tightened. "So the only week money went missing, that is the same week footage disappeared?" he asked. "Yes, sir," the man replied. "Someone entered the system and wiped it." That was all Bode needed to hear. He asked accounts for the trail of approvals. One by one, he checked digital signatures, login times, and who had access to which files. The same name kept appearing near the suspicious movement. Tonia. Before calling her, he invited his mother, this time as Madame Funk, not the cleaner, into his real office. She entered in her usual rich lace, jewelry shining, but her face was serious. "Sit down, Mummy," he said. "It's about that girl. Kemi." She sat, folded her hands, and spoke calmly. "Before we talk about Kemi, let me confess something," she said. In a few short minutes, she explained everything. How she came as a cleaner. How Tonia and Bestie treated her. How Kemi helped her when she fell, sat with her during lunch, cleaned the restroom floor, visited her house, and refused a bribe at the hotel. Bode listened in shock. "So you mean, Mama Cleaner is you?" he asked at last. "Yes," she said simply. "And that girl you are doubting? I have tested her with my own eyes." Bode leaned back, the picture becoming clear. He called HR and security. "Bring Tonia to the boardroom." Now, when Tonia entered and saw Madame Funk sitting there as the real owner, her legs almost failed her. When they spread out the fake approvals, the account trail, and the missing CCTV story, she could not talk for long. Her lies broke one by one. In the end, she lost her job, faced police case, and left the company in shame. A few days later, Bode gathered staff. In front of everyone, he cleared Kemi's name, apologized publicly, and announced that the fraud case was closed against her. After the meeting, Madame Funk called Kemi aside, this time without wrapper disguise. "My daughter," she said, smiling softly, "I am the real mama you have been defending. And I am proud of you." Kemi almost cried. Later, as things settled, Bode and Kemi began to talk more. About work, about life, about standing for truth, even when it is hard. Madame Funk watched them and felt peace. Her son had found a woman who did not chase wealth, but showed kindness when she thought nobody was watching. That was the heart she had been praying for. And that's how one ordinary cleaner turned an entire office into her own test bestie. At the end of the day, it wasn't the loud makeup, fine English, or designer heels that saved anybody. It was simple kindness, respect, and a heart that refused to sell itself, even when the money on the table could solve plenty problems. Sometimes the real exam of your life is happening when you think nobody is watching, but destiny, and even God, is taking notes. Hey Bestie, thank you for staying till the end of this Bestie folktale. If this story touched you or opened your eyes, please subscribe to help us grow, give this video a like, and tell us in the comments what lesson you're taking away, and which country you're watching from. Your support really keeps these stories alive.